Well, happy Sunday, everybody. I hope you are having an amazing day. Now, let's just make sure that everything is where we want it. Now, we're going to have some fun today. We're going to see if we can get my whole head in the picture. This time of year, and I know I've talked about this before, you got to wait right till the end. You are going to love what we do today, and it's going to be a little bit shocking for some of you, I think. So, hang out, find out what happens next, because we are going to make candy that is keto. We are also going to make candy that has vitamins and minerals in it, and it's made out of cucumbers. Yeah, so most people have had sweet pickles of some form, whether it's pickled cauliflower or pickled cucumbers, or bread and butter pickles are popular everywhere, I think. But we are not making pickles today, and we are not using vinegar, but we are using cucumbers. So I've got to tell you, I am just so lucky. I have a very dear friend who has a garden that is just absolutely going crazy, and she had way more pickling cucumbers than she knew what to do with. So she brought some to me, and when I say some, I mean about 20 pounds. So I've been making dill pickles and relish and all kinds of things that are keto friendly. So when I make relish, I'm using erythritol or xylitol, whichever is your preference. A monk fruit erythritol blend would work. So you substitute the sugar for your keto friendly sweetener. Now, erythritol is my sweetener of choice, and it's my sweetener of choice because technically it's a sugar alcohol. But even though it's a sugar alcohol, there's only about 6% of the erythritol molecule that's utilized by your body. So if you had 50 calories worth of erythritol and you ate it all, your body is only going to use 3 calories of that. So very rarely does it have any effect on anyone's blood sugar. There's always an exception to every rule. So with any sweetener, good idea for you to test your blood sugar. If you have blood sugar issues, make sure that this isn't something that's going to spike it. Monk fruit also has been known on occasion. Now, it's rare, and erythritol is the one that is least likely. Monk fruit is very, very unlikely, and monk fruit, I've had several people say to me, well, I don't use erythritol, I use monk fruit. Check the package. It doesn't matter what you're buying, read the ingredients, because monk fruit, if it's from Lakanto or Amson Naturals, is my company of choice. It is never pure monk fruit, and the reason it isn't is because monk fruit is very bitter. It's sweet, but it's also bitter. So, monk fruit is always blended with erythritol or xylitol, and that's why, because by itself, it's very bitter. Okay, now let's get busy. When you are working with pickling cucumbers, if you've never worked with them before, they are a little bit prickly, and fresh out of the garden, they're also dirty. And so you can buy little vegetable scrub brushes and all kinds of things, but the thing that I've found that is absolutely my favorite thing in the world, and it's something that another friend of mine made, and I love supporting local. I bought these at the farmer's market. Now, this is crocheted out of tulle. Now, tulle is what we make tutus from, and all kinds of things like that. Hi, Del. So, I can see that we have 3 people here with us this morning. If you are one of those 3, say hi. Let me know you're here. Let me know if you've ever seen something like this before. Is that something that you could make? Now, this works so well when you are washing cucumbers. You get this wet, and the cucumbers are likely soaking in water anyway, and you scrub it, and it takes everything off it. It is just super slick. Good morning, Mom. Now, these are inexpensive to buy, and if you've got a local farmer's market that you can attend, go and look for some if you can't make them yourselves, because these are awesome. They're originally were for scrubbing pots, but I bought extra, and one of them I have set aside especially for scrubbing vegetables because it works so well. Okay, so that's enough about my scrubber. Can you tell that I'm a little excited about my scrubber? Now, this is a pickle-sized cucumber. That's usually what you see in your pickle jar. This is another pickling cucumber that spent a little more time in the garden, but they can get way bigger. Now, I'll let you guess which one that I'm chopping up for candies and relishes, and so they're huge, or they're teeny, and they can be much, much smaller than this. Okay, now let's see if we can't take a look at what we're doing here. Now, we're not going to need the scale today because I have already used it. But what we are going to need is a pot and a hot cup of coffee. Now, my production crew bailed on me. Don't have a production crew here today. So he's gone back to work. Now, you know, I've talked before about the fact that Del had surgery on his elbow. My husband had surgery on his elbow, and how impressed the surgeon was at how quickly he was healing and the inflammation was going down. Honest to heavens, guys, a lot of that is because of keto and because he did what they told him to do for recovery as well. But yeah, his recovery went very smoothly and much more quickly than they anticipated. So I had to get my own cup of coffee today, and I have sugar-free Irish cream Da Vinci syrup in it. And it is awesome. Okay, cucumbers, candy. First thing we need to do is take 200 grams of granular erythritol. Now, it doesn't matter if you use the powdered erythritol. The reason that I use granular is because it's way cheaper, right? So this is Amson Naturals granular erythritol, 200 grams or 1 cup. And to that, I am going to add a cup of water. And it is just that easy. That's all we're putting in the pot for now. Oh, and a little bit of my erythritol did not come out. And we are going to turn that on medium. Oh, come on. There we go. We're going to turn that on medium, and we're going to heat it until the erythritol in the pot is melted, so that it's totally incorporated in the water. Okay, now while we're waiting for that to happen, we've got a couple of other things to do, and one of them is getting the cucumber ready. Now, if you are doing something like this, make sure that you're watching your cucumber. If there's any little blemishes on it, let's get those out of there. They're not going to hurt you, but they don't look very appetizing. And the other thing is the blossom end of the cucumber. You want to take that off. Now, if you are making pickles, which we're not today, but if you were making pickles, the blossom end of the cucumber, if you cut about 1/4 of an inch off-ish, that blossom end has chemicals in it that can make the cucumber soft. So remember that this cucumber is a whole organism, and its entire reason for being is to make more cucumbers. So the chemicals in the blossom end make the cucumber soft so the seeds can ripen, and yeah, so that's a whole botany lesson that we don't need to go into, but it is what it is. Now, once you've got this trimmed as much as you want, I'm not cutting the stem end off because I'm using that to hang on to in a little bit. We're going to cut thin slices. 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch, 5 millimeters. I don't know, do you want to do it in metric or, that one's a little thicker. You want to do it in metric or imperial? One way or the other, you want them wafer thin. There you go. Now, a little thicker, a little thinner. Now, this takes some patience. It isn't hard work by any stretch of the imagination, but it takes time to make this happen because you want to preheat your oven to 180 degrees. Yes, I said 180 Fahrenheit, not Celsius. And you want to put these in that oven for about 6 or 8 hours. So we're going to do a little bit of time traveling in a little while. Now, if you have a soft spot in your cucumber, make sure that you cut that out. Did you know that cucumbers, not only are they low calorie, but they also have a lot of vitamins in them. They have vitamin K and vitamin C and potassium and magnesium. So in one medium cucumber, and a medium cucumber is about 200 grams, and it's also about 30 calories in 200 grams, you're going to have about 7 grams of carbs, most of that. Now you see, I cut this just so that I was down to the stem end where I could hold on to it. And the stem end tends to get a little bit bitter, so I'm not going to use that. Okay, that can go in the compost pail. And can you see my pan? There we go. Now you can see it a little bit. Okay, so my pan is starting to boil. Now I want to show you something else that I did. And I followed the instructions on this absolutely to the letter. Not that that really made a difference in this case, but I did some air fryer zucchini chips that are supposed to be crispy and yummy and delicious, and they actually do taste pretty good. They are only crispy right when they come out of the air fryer. And in order for them to be crispy, they have to be this dark. So, yeah, they're all right. Not something I would do again. So, air fryer zucchini chips, yeah, not really a thing. Now you can see that our pot is just bubbling away. Now, let me just try and give you a better view here of what's going on. Okay. There we go. Now you can see a little bit better. You like that? The magic of cinema. How about that? Okay, so we do all kinds of magic here. Now we've got the cucumber all sliced and ready to go. And the next thing we're going to do is dice up some Mojito Mint. Now this is fresh out of my garden. I went out and picked it literally about 15 minutes ago. Now, when you are growing mint in your garden, first of all, I highly recommend the Mojito Mint. It is wonderful, wonderful. And it grows like crazy. You just have to make sure that you check the leaves, and any little brown spots, again, they're not going to hurt you, but they're not very appetizing looking. Although, when we're done with them here, they're not going to be looking like much of anything. Okay, now we are just going to take this little pile of mint leaves, and it's about 6 grams of mint, and we are going to dice this up. Now this is where you want to make sure that your knife is very, very sharp, because we want this mint diced up really well. So we want to be dicing it, not crushing it. Okay. Oh my goodness. You guys just have no idea how good this mint smells. Now this, I had never heard of Mojito Mint before. I know what a mojito is because when we were in Mexico, it was Del's favorite drink, which was a little surprising to me because not only did it have mint in it, but it had lime in it, but he quite liked it. And this year, he was at a big box store actually that had a garden section, and they had a tray that had different kinds of mint, and one of those kinds of mint was Mojito Mint. Okay, now be very careful that you don't cut yourself. Heaven knows I have done that often enough. A little more coffee. Okay, so it is cold and rainy and not really a pleasant day in Alberta. But there are lots of things to do inside to keep us busy, and making candy is one of them. Okay, now, all of this chopped up mint, about it was about 6 grams. So there's probably 2 tablespoons there. We are going to take that and put it right into the pot of sugar, and you'll see that it immediately changes the color of the sugar. So that is the oils and the juices coming out of the mint into that sugar. And we're just going to take our tongs. Now, that looks amazing all by itself. You could use that as a simple syrup for mojitos. Sounds like a good idea, doesn't it? Now we're going to turn the heat down, or we're going to turn the heat up. And we're going to turn the heat up because now we're going to put these cucumbers in here. And the cucumbers are going to bring the temperature of the liquid down. Now you want the cucumbers, you want to be able to submerge them. So you don't want them sticking way up out of the water. And remember, when you're putting them in here, this is a hot sugar syrup, so you want to make sure you're not splashing it on yourself. You don't want to get burned. Okay. Now, this is absolutely not going to taste like Jolly Ranchers or, any of the hard candies that you get, but it is going to be a sweet treat when your mouth is looking for something a little bit sweet and yummy. And this does not have aspartame. It doesn't have, any of the natural flavors that are not good for us. I'll just put these down here. And now that it's back up to a boil, we're going to turn it down to 2. You want it turned down low enough that it's still simmering, so it's a boil. We want to cook these for 20 minutes. Okay, now, 20 minutes when you are waiting for cucumbers to cook seems like an eternity. Alexa, start a 20-minute timer. Now,
20 minutes, starting now.
Thank you, Alexa.
You're welcome.
There you go. See, she's just so kind. Typically, we don't cook cucumbers, but they used to. They used to also fry lettuce, so that's a whole another thing that we'll get together and do. These need to simmer in this pot of simple syrup with the mint for 20 minutes. And at the end of that 20 minutes... Oh, I do want to do one more thing. At the end of that 20 minutes, we are going to put it on a cookie sheet in the oven for 6 hours. Now, I'm going to cut the end off of this one. And the other thing that I'm going to do, because this one is so big, thinking maybe we should cut these in half. And if you are going to cut it in half, you want to do it before you put them in the oven, not when they come out, because once they come out, they're candied and, a lot harder to do that. So if you want smaller pieces, and remember, because we are dehydrating this, in essence, we are intensifying all of the calories and carbs, and so cucumbers are 95% water. So if you have 100 grams of cucumbers and they are 95% water, that means 5% of the cucumber is where you find all of the vitamins and the carbs. And well, we're going to dehydrate this. By the time we're done, I would say they're maybe going to be 10% water. So now, instead of a 100-gram portion of cucumbers, we're talking about a 10-gram portion. I know it doesn't sound like very much, but okay. Now, we are going to cut these the same way so that they are nice and thin. The thinner they are, the chewier they're going to be, and depending on who you are, you might want them a little bit thicker. Now, if you do make them thicker, they're going to take longer in the oven. They're not going to get crispy like these ones. Well, these don't really get crispy, but kind of bendy rather than. But put them in an airtight container in the fridge and they will keep for quite a while. Candied cucumbers. Who thought that was a thing? So I got to tell you where this idea came from. I was at the Lacombe Farmers Market here in central Alberta, where I'm a vendor, and someone that I knew came up to me and they were holding a jar of green stuff. I didn't know what it was. It was bright green, beautiful, beautiful green. So this is how we're going to do this. Just cut it in half, and whoops, this way. And once we get all of those cut up, we'll be able to do those in the next batch. We probably won't be together for that, but we're going to set this aside for the moment. Put that down there. Definitely going to need that. Okay. So she was holding this jar of something that was a brilliant green, and I had to ask what it was, and she said it's candied pickles, which I had never heard of. So I came home and I started doing some research on candied pickles, and I found candied cucumbers, which I also had never heard of. There are one or two things that I've never heard of. Okay, so every single thing that I found was for pickles, candied pickles or candied cucumbers made with sugar. That does not really float my boat, so I took a recipe and took it apart and put it back together, and this is what we've come up with. Now this is going to be, how long left on our timer? We still have 15 minutes. So when these are ready, we are going to put them on a cookie sheet, and we're going to pop them in a 180-degree oven for about 6 hours. 180 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so they are going to go in that 180-degree oven, and when they come out, ta-da, we have candied pickles. Now, when you look at these were all in the oven for exactly the same amount of time. Just move you up here a little bit. Okay, so these were all in the oven for the same amount of time. And they're not crunchy, and they're not meant to be, but they do break when you bend them, but, you know, so does a cucumber. But they are sweet and chewy and a really nice candy bite. So, if you are making a salad that has a sweeter dressing on it, you could use these as decoration. You can put them on the rim of a cup, or when you are looking for a candy bite, you can use one of these. Now you can see this one is a little bit thicker, and so I did flip these about halfway through, but because it's thicker, it's a little bit ooey gooier in the center. That's not a bad thing. Now, if we want to impress somebody that is coming to visit, or maybe we're not impressing anybody, maybe we're just worth it because we are. There you go. Now, how many times have you had a vegetable on the rim of a glass and not been at all interested in eating it? I'm betting that a lot of people are going to ask you, first of all, what this is. Second of all, why on earth would you candy it? And then they're going to taste it, and they're probably going to love it. So, while this is cooking, remember the water is evaporating out of it. And when I did my testing yesterday, I had a little more water evaporate out of it than I should have had, and the sugar syrup started to caramelize, and so it turned a dark brown. And I thought, well, I'm going to try them anyway. And when they first came out of the simple syrup, they tasted great. I actually really like those. They have a little bit deeper flavor. They don't taste burnt at all. So if your syrup starts to turn brown and you catch it right away, don't get rid of it. You've just given your candied cucumber a little bit of a new flavor profile. Okay, so that is what we're doing today. That and having coffee. And dealing with the fact that I have to be my own production crew. But it's all good. I am very grateful that Dell is recovered and back to work and feeling as good as he is. So if you know someone who is struggling with pain, someone who's going in for surgery, anyone who's struggling with pain, tell them to eliminate carbs. If they don't want to do keto, they don't want to do keto. But while you're in pain, your body creates inflammation. So let's get rid of the carbs for 2 or 3 weeks. Let your body heal without having to battle all of the inflammation caused by the carbs. So that's number one. If you or someone you know is going in for surgery, for a month before and a month or 2 afterwards, do keto so that your body's inflammation markers are way low. You're going to heal better. You're going to feel better. Your pain is going to be less. Your surgeon will be amazed, and you will recover much more quickly. Now, I have to go. Thank you very much for watching this video and for being here live if you are, and if you're not, for watching it later on. I am here Sunday and Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Mountain. Fridays I'm here at 4 p.m. starting this Friday, and you want to be here on Friday because we're doing salmon on the barbecue. So I will see you on Wednesday, and until then, please do your very best to live your best version of this shining life. That's what I'm going to do. I will talk to you later.